We are learning some more disturbing and I will just say incredibly gruesome details about the murder case against the singer David tonight. And this is thanks to a brief that was filed by Los Angeles Deputy District Attorney Beth Silverman in connection with a status hearing earlier today. And I will warn you right now, some of what you're about to hear is very graphic. According to prosecutors, David, real name David Anthony Burke, allegedly used a chainsaw to dismember the body of 14-year-old Celeste Rivas Hernandez after murdering her. He then allegedly amputated 2 fingers on her hand that could have linked him to the teen runaway, one that apparently had a tattoo of his name. Again, it's horrifying to hear. This 9-page brief that was obtained by TMZ lays out the evidence that Silverman planned to present at a preliminary hearing that was set for Friday, although today the defense said there was just too much discovery to go through by Friday, so the judge pushed that hearing back almost a month to May 26th. Again, that's where the prosecution ought to present enough evidence to say they can move forward with the case. Now, David was charged with first-degree murder, continuous sexual abuse of a minor, mutilating human remains earlier this month after the LAPD stormed this ritzy Hollywood Hills home that he had been staying at and arrested him. He's pleaded not guilty to all the charges. But the 21-year-old singer was at the top of everyone's suspect list after Celeste's badly decomposed body was found in the trunk of a Tesla reportedly registered to him last September. And in that brief that I mentioned before, prosecutors also claim they had evidence from surveillance videos and other sources that allegedly showed David was the last person to drive that car on July 29th. This is about a month before Celeste's body was found. Now, that could leave open the possibility that someone else moved the car afterwards. We're not entirely sure. But last week, Los Angeles District Attorney Nathan Hochman said that David killed Celeste because she threatened to expose the fact that he had been sexually abusing her, which could have been devastating for his music career. I mean, David was reportedly dropped from his label. And the brief also contains more information about that alleged relationship, including the allegation that Celeste was apparently just 11 years old when the pair met and just 13 when they allegedly started this sexual relationship. And as for today, the singer was in court. He was clean-shaven, quiet in court this afternoon, saying just 2 words, "Yes, ma'am," when asked if he agreed to the new date. And that glow-up is thanks to the efforts of his attorneys, who asked the judge if their client could get a haircut, some dress clothes ahead of court. The judge agreed to the haircut, said no to the new duds, which is why David was wearing an orange prison jumpsuit today. And we can expect to see him back in court May 12th for a status hearing. But joining me now to dive into all this, forensic death investigator from Jacksonville State University, Joseph Scott Morgan, the host of Body Bags, missing persons private investigator Steve Fisher, who's been on this story from the very beginning. Great to have you both here. Steve, I'm going to start with you. So everybody knows you were hired by the owner of the home that David was reportedly renting. You were hired to investigate. You talked about a chainsaw months ago. You talked about finding a chainsaw months ago. Your reaction to this, does this confirm everything that you couldn't actually reveal at the time? Talk to us about it.
Yeah, it confirms some of it. We didn't know everything. Let's be honest about that. But, we did find a chainsaw. We found a burn cage, and we knew that they were ordered in the name of this Victoria Mendez. And we disclosed that it was, in a fake name. And but we didn't know if that was a real person or not. However, all these things, and there was more things that were delivered to the house in that name, and we couldn't get past the chainsaw or the burn cage. Just there was no reasonable use to have it there. And now we find out that it does appear like they played a role.
Joseph, I don't know the better way to. I really don't know the best way to ask this, but can you explain what dismembering somebody with a chainsaw actually entails? Cutting off someone's fingers, because we are now have to believe, according to prosecutors, if these allegations are true, that a 20-year-old did this.
Yeah, I can break it down for you very succinctly. The fact that the RPMs that a chainsaw generates, which are thousands, it moves at a very high clip. And with that, chainsaw has teeth on it. It's not teeth like a regular handsaw. I've had a couple of cases involving chainsaws over the course of my career, and I'll just put it to you this way: the deposition of tissue and blood, because with a regular handsaw, you would just you might get a little tissue, you're gonna have a lot of blood. This is going to sling actual tissue everywhere. And so the idea that this could be cleaned up completely, there's no way under God's green heaven that you're going to be able to clean up every bit of tissue deposition that's there. You might think you've gotten it, But once the cops get in there and they have enough time, they're going to collect. And that goes back to this idea that they've identified DNA. And they're saying that it is her DNA.
And coupled with the pieces from the pool, right? The pool mat that allegedly he used to wrap her up?
Well, yeah, and they're talking about a kiddie pool that was there that facilitated this. And if you read that TMZ bit that they had, they're talking about he used this to guard the flow of blood. So yeah, and if it is blue, they've got plastic embedded into these insults onto her body. And so it would be a matter of the criminalists, which also has indicated that they're examining these pieces. They've been able to tie back these fragments, which is very powerful stuff.
Steve, so much was made about this alleged relationship. You know, the brief says that Celeste was 11 years old when they first met, 13 years old when this sexual relationship began, that there was text messages between the two talking about Plan B, pregnancy, naked photos of Celeste, of her engaging in sexual activity. Is this in line with what you found?
Yeah, it is. And, you know, it's so sad. I mean, this girl, she'd been a teenager for 1 year, you know, and it's so hard to get past, like, how he could do how anybody could do this to anybody and ruin their life. But, you know, I want to say something real quick because I was going to call Joseph off the show too before. You know, we're really confused about this. What happened to this tissue and this blood matter from the chainsaw? Because they make it sound like there was trace amounts found, and they didn't really turn the house into a crime scene. They didn't hold it long when they did the search warrant. So it's really confusing us. It seems like a chainsaw would have absolutely created a horrific scene, but they don't speak about that. Well, so I still feel like there's a piece we're not getting.
Talk about a piece we're not getting to this. We've always wondered if the allegations are true, did he have help? The brief claimed that David was the last to drive the Tesla in late July before Celeste's body was found. It didn't confirm, as far as I read, that doesn't mean someone else may have moved it. You tell me if I'm looking at it the wrong way. And then also they made the allegation that David lied to people about the smell in the trunk. So it seemed when I was reading this, it kind of moved away from the idea of him working with anyone else.
I mean, I guess it depends the way you read it. I still go back to the DA's statement that they're not taking off the table. Other people can still be charged in this thing. I do think there was help. As far as the Tesla goes, the surveillance we have, I've always said that they probably have more surveillance than us. Surveillance we have, I do not believe that that's David is a light-skinned, long-haired person driving the car. I don't know what they have after that time, if David went to the car or something. But
or if they knew what was in the car. Or if they knew what was in the car. Because, look, that's another part. They talk about the body being in the car for quite some time. I still think it's a little confusing about where the remains were, when they were transported to the car. I mean, do you have a better idea?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I think he stored them in the car. We heard from neighbors that the car started moving around the neighborhood starting in May. But you listen, it was nearby, and it was. Listen, I'm in search and rescue. I've dealt with a lot of deceased bodies. There's a very distinct smell that, especially if it was in the garage for a while. And that's where the other Tesla was being parked. It was going in and out of it. It was not being parked on the street, and they had like an arcade set up down there. I don't know how these people didn't know.
Look, this is an important day, right? I mean, it wasn't a preliminary hearing, but this document, 9 pages, provided so much information that we were all waiting for. We will see what happens next. Steve Fisher, Joseph Scott Morgan, thank you both for coming on to talk about the details of what is truly one of the worst cases I've heard in quite some time. Thank you both.
Thank you.